Welcome back, everybody. So for this portion of the whole, what does Reigen have to do with mentorship? Apparently a lot. So again, Reigen himself is not who you would typically consider as someone who should be a mentor to anyone. I mean, so first off, please, if you've never watched Mob Psycho, there will be spoiler alerts. So if you don't want that, please don't watch past here. But if you do, let's keep going. So again, Reigen's not the typical person you would look to and say, yes, this guy is a mentor. A mentor is usually the person that someone would see as grown up, has a lot of success, power, fame, knowledge, wisdom. Reigen, in some ways, is not that, He looks like he's just kind of lackadaisical, relaxed, chill, carefree. He doesn't have a lot of power. He's literally not an Esper in this whole anime, which is about Espers. He also doesn't have a lot of money. I mean, if we look at his agency and everything, they're not overflowing in cash. I mean, if he's paying mob, well, not pennies, but coins, so that's another one. And then the third is also how carefree Reigen is. He almost looks like he doesn't take anything seriously, which is just crazy. So if you saw that, you wouldn't necessarily say that Reigen is who would be a mentor. Yet Reigen is, ironically, and somehow even him being a mentor to Mob was something he didn't choose. So we'll take a look at this next clip and you'll see how Reigen being himself, somehow that became a connection between him and Mob, even when Mob was obviously at a super young age. So let's take a look. So as you can see from this clip, which is super wholesome, Reigen is literally just there realizing, okay, a child needs a bit of encouragement, and he's relaxed and carefree enough to offer just genuine encouragement. And I think that speaks to Reigen's heart to care for people, regardless of the circumstances. So to me, Reigen's strength is really his heart, as in him caring for people. Because you're seeing the stuff he said to Mob, which is just very chill, very down to earth. Turned Mob's concern into a smile. And then Mob was literally asking him if he could come back again to ask, just because Mob needed to talk. Yet Mob didn't go to his family to talk. Because there's some times that some things you're going through, you can't talk to family. As in, they might not get what you're going through. I hope you do have the family that you can talk to, that you're all close like that. If it's not the case, then there might be someone else out there who can, as in kind of a safe, respectful, someone who actually can just listen. So imagine the shock of Reigen's life when Mob now hot tea spill, and boom, finds out that this guy is an Esper, which is obviously helpful for his spiritual detective agency, his actual company. Yeah, he actually has a company, sorry. Reigen, he's not lazy, if we put it that way. He actually can do the hard work, which is another second thing about him, which is obviously helpful as a mentor. Your mentor should not be lazy. That's really not helpful, because a mentor is there to help you grow and teach you some skills that you don't even have. So if we move forward beyond this, we also see different situations with Mob and Reigen where they've obviously spent a lot of time together, as Mob's been growing over the years, helping with paranormal activity, zapping this spirit and that spirit. So Reigen has gotten the chance to learn to read Mob well. And if you have a great mentor, your mentor can read you quite well, even to the point of reading what's on your mind. And if you take a look at the scene here, it's crazy. Reigen is not a psychic for everyone's understanding. Yet somehow he could already read what Mob was trying to do. And I think even on top of that is also how quickly and smoothly Reigen can recover in almost any situation. I mean, this guy is like adaptation to the nth degree. Whether or not he has or knows everything, when Mob catches him off guard with this scene where Mob is asserting his independence, saying, "Why am I coming here? I have skills, as in Esper abilities, and you don't. So is this actually helping me grow?" And Reigen obviously was a little like, huh? Shocked, but he pivoted and just said, "Hey, you know what? It's okay for you to want to try new things. You know, that's part of growing up." And he said puberty. Now, a different mentor who wanted to cage Mob would have been like, "Hey, you shouldn't go maybe try to manipulate or whatever." Not that Reigen cannot manipulate, but I think Reigen's kind heart is what helps him not to do that. And he just said, "Hey, you can go do what you want. It's up to you." And I think another point here is that, again, Reigen's kind heart, the fact he actually has work ethic is the second. And I really believe the third one is really he flows with what he's trying to do with his mentee. He doesn't put Mob into a box. And also, as you can see from this scene here, Reigen also has rules. As in, Mob is like a walking, not just an atomic bomb, but like so many degrees higher than that. If he loses his cool with his abilities, people could get hurt or worse. So Reigen has actually slowly but surely helped to put him almost like a mental safeguard in him to say, "Hey, you know what? Your power should actually be used for good." Kind of an Uncle Ben type line, I guess, if you want to. Great power, great responsibility. You know the drill. So with this one, Reigen is actually applying those rules to say that Mob made a promise to not use his powers for evil, use his powers for good, to help people. And Reigen is giving him the avenue to do so, even though he's doing it cheaply, but it's still teaching Mob to be a helpful citizen, a helpful person, that his powers are used to help others, not to help himself, so that he doesn't become the villain in his own, obviously, story arc. And I think one other one to point out here with regards to Reigen is, because again, this whole mentorship arc, we're really just touching on season 1. Obviously, there's other points that Reigen shows up in terms of his mentorship abilities and skills. I think really the episode 1 is so, I don't know, it's so vivid in terms of how it stands out. And if you remember it, it's literally the scene in the tunnel where Reigen goes in, says, "We're going to tackle this spirit that's here." Mob is like, "Hey, it's dangerous." And Reigen confidently walks in there. And, you know, remember what he did there with the whole, "Oh, I'll leave the small fight to you." Goes there, runs into the blue biker ghost. And then the guy's like, obviously calling Reigen weak. Then what does he do? Lights him up, as in this ghost is about to light Reigen up like the 4th of July. He just powers up. And then, and when he sends that fire blast going, Mob just quickly does something, and Reigen doesn't even flinch, honestly. Please, everybody, that's crazy. Because when he doesn't flinch because of his confidence in his mentee, the ghost gets confused because he's like, he looks and Reigen's still standing and he's seeing the barrier and he's like, huh? This guy might actually be tough. Turns out, obviously, Reigen was not the one who did the blocking, but honestly, a mentor who is not an expert to have that level of confidence. I need Reigen's level of confidence. Not even flinching. Just so sure that something is going to help him in this whole situation. And I think that also tells you the bond between Reigen and Mob. As in, Reigen, though he's a mentor, has had to rely on Mob multiple times. And you can now see how strong that bond is, as in the reliance on each other, where again, Mob is the one who's the actual powerhouse. Yet in terms of experience and wisdom, that's all Reigen. And as a duo, as a team, they are an unstoppable combination. Again, power of mentorship is that though it tends to look like it benefits the mentee, i.e. Mob, a lot more, Reigen also is being changed by that relationship, as in Mob's influence on him in one way or another. So it is actually a beneficial relationship for both parties when done well. And for this whole episode and everything, I normally talk about 4 tips or 2, but I'll actually stick with 1 just to make it super easy. So in the next video, we'll actually deal with when they entered into the claw base and Reigen became an Esper temporarily. That I think is an amazing cap off to season 1. We'll dig into that and the actual lesson out of this with regards to mentorship. Yeah, stay tuned.